Is Clovis building the right mix of homes, affordable housing, and apartments?
We do need to ensure that while we are growing, that we are doing so in a responsible way. We do need to ensure that we have an appropriate amount of affordable housing that is building in the community, because right now we do have a lot of people who come to work in Clovis but unfortunately can't afford to live here. So there are a lot of benefits to affordable housing, and we have to make sure that that balance is there.
There's usually parks and green space, which sometimes are coordinated with the neighborhoods, but also retail is supposed to follow those rooftops, and commercial and other things to come along as well to kind of keep that whole city growth going, rather than just a bunch of residential neighborhoods potentially on the outskirts that people are having to come into town, and that creates traffic problems, etc. And that's the one thing I don't see following the residential development with the same kind of fervor that the houses are being built, is those other developments coming along behind. As far as affordable housing goes, I think that the city has put itself in a position where there's plenty of that available. They're waiting, in a sense, for people to come along and want to build that or have the funding or subsidies to take on those projects. The one thing I think people need to be aware of in terms of the affordable housing issue is that what the situation is now is the city has a citywide overlay that allows for this affordable housing to be built all over the city. And it's also been allowed to be done by right, which means that there's no longer a need for council approval or community input on these projects. And so a lot of times our neighborhoods are looking for an opportunity to weigh in and say whether or not they feel a particular project is right for that area. And when it comes to affordable housing, they don't have that option anymore.
I wouldn't want a conflict of interest. So I would never take a donation from a big builder or a developer. Right now in our southeast area, we are in the red zone for our fire department, meaning that our fire department cannot get to that area in the amount of time that is safe. First, we must have the resources such as a fire department station in that area before we expand. For affordable housing, I do believe that people should be able to live where they work. I would want my employees to be able to live close to my business. However, with high density housing, we can have problems with crime. So we do have to be very smart about it, but we should have a safety net for people who have lost their jobs, had their hours reduced, or have an illness. So we must have that safety net with affordable housing, but we cannot expand. Our city has expanded at a very high rate. We cannot have the influence from the builders on the city council.
Our job is only to provide zoning. And so to say that the city must build, the city builds nothing. We can't build anything. We have enough zoning for all the mixed types of housing that is required of our city. Developers come and build. There is no incentive, meaning there's no monies from the state to us to give to any developer to build any type of housing. So because of that, it has to be a developer themselves, just like the housing authority is a developer. So they bought the land, they built it according to whatever the requirements of the city are, so they can build that product. And so that's important to understand. We are just building according to our general plan. Whether that goes fast or slow is no issue, because we have planned for it, we have done the environmentals for it, and we have allocated enough mix for it. One of the policies we have is to have diverse housing products in our general plan, and we are following that pretty much to the T.
Affordable housing is a particular question. I think it's important, it's essential. And I want to just push back a little bit on Herman. I've heard you say a couple of times it's about crime. I think as leaders, we need to not change. That's a stigma we need to not perpetuate. High density housing isn't a direct correlation to crime. So I just want to be clear about that. But it really is a combination of the role the city can play and what the free market. Diane, you made a point about following through with retail, and we have heard that, but that is a business decision that a builder makes or a developer makes in a neighborhood. Again, the city is not, we've zoned it, it's available, and it's up to the builders in the community if there's a demand. One of the things that happens in Clovis that I think I hear most of all is vacant retail space. So there's a mindfulness about where you're going to go and how much retail you're going to add, and people's shopping habits have changed. But I know it's a concern. But short answer, we have an excellent general plan. It addresses all areas of our city, affordable housing and otherwise, and we expect all parts of our community to live up to the same standard of excellence.